Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing Bridge Over Troubled Water sung by So Hyang. Starting with a lighter coordination. She had really good legato through that line where even though she went to "in your eyes," everything kind of buzzed at the same level. That's a good skill to work on, especially if you're a newer singer, because the tendency is to chop up phrases. So when tears are in versus when tears are in, where it's buzzing all the way through. She was a little bit breathy all the way through, but it was still legato, it was still buzzy. I also love how when she's going to all, rather than "I will dry them all, she's going to all. She's rounding it. It's a little bit more British, but that narrower vowel is generally a little bit better of a vowel to use. It makes things just generally easier all the way through your range. So starting at easier phrases, such as the beginning of the song, will set her up for singing well throughout the rest of it. And I know it's because of her accent, but that's the point, is how you pronounce your words makes a huge difference. Whether it's natural because it's how you speak naturally, whether it's because that's how you've learned how to pronounce it, the way that you speak makes a huge difference.
I'm on your side, when times get rough.
Oh, she went to that same kind of open place.
Just can't be found like a troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down.
She kept the legato going even though she started closing her mouth at the end of it, where she went to down. She kept buzzing all the way through that, which is a very good habit to get into. I'm really loving that small, clear tone that she's giving, where it actually doesn't have a lot of vibrato most of the time, and she's opening her mouth a little bit more for it. I'm not sure why she feels like she has to open her mouth for just those smaller, quieter notes, but she's able to find a place that's balanced with air and muscle going into it, so it's a very clear sound. It doesn't have a lot of extra breath sound going through, and then sometimes when she comes back down from that place that she was singing in, that's when she goes into the breathy tone just for an effect.
When you're down and out,
Now she's adding a little more full voice.
when you're on the street, when living falls so hard, I will comfort you.
Yeah, so she's starting to add a little bit more full voice, which is resulting in a clearer, more loud sound, rather than at the beginning where she was letting a little bit more of the breathy tone come into play. So yes, she could go quiet and not go breathy. She's going quieter and breathier together, and that's fine also. As she's getting louder though, the only real way is to start by adding a little bit more chord closure or full voice. That's giving her the ability to get loud, because if she was trying to press into the way that she was singing in the beginning, it wouldn't work. She had to bring her chords together, otherwise she would lose all the volume in that middle part.
I'll take your fall. When darkness comes and pain
Oh. And that time it actually kind of matters. She is doing most of this a little bit wider than I think that I would ask people to, but she is able to. So, and it sounds like she's not getting stuck, like she's not hitting a wall and is not going to be able to keep going up. It sounds like she's going to keep being able to go up and be completely successful with it. I think that it's because her vocal cords are so small right now. She's letting them thin out super, super well. So she has a lot of flexibility to do funky stuff with her vowel. I think that the ol, though, is still kind of an easier place to go with it. And so if she started running into problems, or if you're trying to sing this and you run into problems, try letting all of it go a little bit more around that ol. When pain is all, when faith, whatever the words are. I'm pain. Yeah, I did it. And pain is all around. So just letting it be a little bit more of that roundness, where she went to and pain is all around, and then she went back out. I think that keeping the vowel a little bit more consistent is good for most people. For her, she's good enough that she can do it for an effect, but for most people, if you're just learning this and you're just kind of guessing back and forth, I think finding a uniform way of singing is the best way to start, and then you can start adding style on later. She also has so much nasal ring through all of this that she has a lot of flexibility with her vowel. And then she flipped. So she flipped up to that top one. She let go of her vocal cords. It's kind of like when you yodel. And then she came back down and they came back together. They didn't slam together. There wasn't a huge change in volume from the high part to the part right after, but it just kind of glided together as she went back down. That's a really nice way of doing that, because then you can use the flip, that higher falsetto, to make sure that everything is easy and comfortable if you were getting a little bit too heavy this time before, and let that easier flipped place influence how you treat the rest of your voice, because then you won't blast your chest voice. You'll let this nice easy place continue down, and then it'll just be a nice easy chest voice, because the whole goal is just to sing as easily as possible. Wow, so she sounds awesome. I just want to break down some of the things that have been going through my head while I'm watching this. So sometimes when she goes to that really whiny place up at the top, if she was trying to sound a little more classical, this is all just a style thing. It would just be bringing it from this wide place a little bit rounder, keep the same sort of space, and then just make sure the tongue can come a little bit more forward. That would give her enough space and start tuning things in a way that it would start sounding more classical rather than this belty sound. There's not a right way. I love this one. I prefer the way that she's doing it like this, where she's just letting everything thin out like crazy and then is able to express herself with whatever vowels she's choosing. But that's kind of how you can adjust style with just choosing slightly different ways of pronouncing your vowels. Classical stuff isn't going to go out like this very much. It's going to go a little bit more like this. I also love that she was going back and forth between really intense dynamics. She was going to that small, quiet place, and then right back into this big, waily type place up at the top of her range. And that contrast made both of them a little bit more intense and impactful for me. And you can see her tongue slide forward there. That was awesome. I mean, that was a very belty G. If someone says that that's not belty enough for them, I don't really know what else they'd want, because you can't pull chest voice up much fuller than that to the G. It sounds like it's going to be able to connect back to the rest of her voice and have a similar tone to the rest of her voice rather than being a totally different sound up at the top. It's full, it's not flipping up into a breathier place. That's a belt, and that's at a G, and it's because she was able to go into that thin place. It wasn't from trying to pull a ton of weight up. So if you're trying to belt up anywhere near this high and it's just not working, see if going into this whinier place is an easier option rather than maintaining that feeling in your chest being really, really heavy. If you can let it move up into the head a little more like what she did, but still hold on by keeping that kind of whiny sound, the result is super, super nice. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you have a bunch of extra hair on your head and you have a show that's opening next week that takes place in the 1940s, so you have to get a haircut, I highly suggest donating that, just like I did to Pantene. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Yikes. Wow, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would.
It does. Oh my gosh. We're going. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. You got a lot of thick hair.
Yeah.
Oh, we're there.
Yikes.
There it is.